Southern is a train operating company in the UK which operates commuter and regional services stretching from the capital all the way to the south coast of England. The longest route is between London Victoria and Southampton, covering 102 miles, taking about 2 hours and 27 minutes with up to 15 trains a day. It calls at 193 stations in total, of which 179 are step-free to some degree, and 153 of these stations are managed by Southern. Anyway, this is done by numerous key services, so let's start on the Coastway route down at Brighton. From here we have a one-stop shuttle service every 30 minutes between Brighton and Hove. This will make sense later on. And there is also an hourly stopping service, usually to Portsmouth and Southsea from Brighton. Half of these trains carry on further to Portsmouth Harbour, one stop down the line, generally at peak times. We also have a similar hourly service from Brighton to Littlehampton, where the train splits in half. One half stays at Littlehampton while the rest continue to Southampton Central via Swanwick. 2 trains a day head from Southampton to Brighton via Eastleigh at 9 and 11:33 in the morning. At Southampton there is a stopping service once an hour to Portsmouth and Southsea, and there are also a few shuttle services on this route. One is between Littlehampton and Bognor Regis once an hour, with another hourly service between Bognor Regis and Barnham. Next we head to the Coastway East route, where 1 train an hour runs from Brighton to Orr. Some stations have limited services and some trains terminate early at Hastings. There is also an hourly stopping service to Eastbourne, where people can walk the Seven Sisters, well worth it by the way, and a half-hourly service to Seaford, with 1 train an hour calling at Southeast. Some trains also call at Newhaven Harbour. Finally, on the Coastway East line there's an hourly service from Eastbourne to Ashford International. We'll be looking at the Brighton main line next, with 2 trains an hour from Littlehampton to London Victoria, where only 1 stops at Lancing an hour. This now explains why there's a shuttle service from Hove to Brighton, in the mind that passengers swap onto these services. Some late night Southern trains also depart from Brighton. There is an hourly service to Eastbourne via Gatwick Airport and Cooksbridge, with a longer hourly service from London Victoria to Orr via Eastbourne, where the train divides in 2. Some trains also terminate early at Hastings. Next we'll head to the Arun Valley, where we have a fairly efficient but complicated route involving split trains, a common theme here at Southern. We have 2 fast trains an hour between London Victoria and Horsham via Gatwick Airport. From here, one of the trains splits in half, with one portion heading to Portsmouth and Southsea via Chichester, and the other heads to Bognor Regis. The other service an hour also splits in half, with one portion heading to Southampton Central along the coast, whilst the other follows a similar route to Bognor Regis. Next we'll look at the service to Reigate, where we have 2 trains an hour. During peak hours, this train also splits at Redhill, with one portion heading to Gatwick Airport. There is also generally an hourly service from Redhill to Tonbridge, with double that at peak times. Heading to the Oxted route now, we have 1 train an hour from London Victoria to East Grinstead via Hurst Green. There is a similar hourly service to Uckfield, following mostly the same route. Heading more towards my neck of the woods on the West of London line, there is a route from East Croydon to Watford Junction once an hour. 3 services a day extend further to Hemel Hempstead, with some trains also terminating early at Clapham Junction and Selhurst, with only 1 train a day calling at Wandsworth Common. Fun fact, this train used to run all the way to Rugby. Next we'll look at some more commuter services, starting with a stopping service to Epsom Downs via West Croydon, where we have 2 trains an hour. There is also a stopping service once an hour from London Victoria to Dorking via Carshalton, as well as a service once an hour from London Victoria to Horsham via Dorking. And we'll now head to another London station, London Bridge, where we have 2 trains an hour via Norwood Junction and West Croydon to Epsom. Southern seem to have a thing with dividing trains, and the next service is no different. From London Bridge we have 2 trains an hour to Purley, where the trains divide in 2. One set goes to Caterham and the other set goes to Tattenham Corner. There are also 2 services an hour from London Bridge, stopping at all stations via Tulse Hill to East Croydon. And another service is from London Bridge to Beckenham Junction via Tulse Hill and Crystal Palace twice an hour. And heading back to London Victoria, there are also 2 services an hour to West Croydon via Crystal Palace. And we've finally got to our last route, which is from London Victoria to London Bridge via Crystal Palace twice an hour. I've also found the Southern network pretty complicated to navigate, and this is probably why, particularly around the South London area. An anytime single between London Victoria and Southampton will set you back £37.60 or £40 for an anytime day return. This is far cheaper than what I thought it was, but it takes significantly longer than the competitor South West Railway services, which you can check out in the link here. There are also 5 key main depots on the route, including one just outside Victoria, one at Brighton, the other at Selhurst, as well as some light maintenance centres at Littlehampton and St Leonard's, just outside Hastings. So Southern Railway dates back to as far as 1923. But skipping forward a few years to 1948, the railways were nationalised, with the southern region for British Rail covering most of what we're talking about. In 1982, the British Rails started to sector the network, and Network South East, one division of British Rail, was set up and began operating services on the southern route from 1986 to 1994. During the transition phase to privatisation, Network South Central, still owned by British Rail, ran for 2 years between 1995 and 1996 inclusive, where privatisation occurred, with Connect South Central taking up the South Central franchise from May 1996 to August 2001. At this point, Govia had been awarded the next franchise until September 2009, where it also included Gatwick Express services. Govia had maintained the franchise until July 2015, which included Thameslink, Southern and Great Northern franchises as part of a big investment project. This was re-awarded to GTR until 2021, and GTR were then given a direct award contract by the Department for Transport, extending the agreement to April 2028. They currently run at least 237 trains according to their website, and include a variety of Turbostars on the Oxted and Marshallink lines to Ashford, as these don't have overhead electric wires, and also a variety of Electrostars on all other routes. So quite a standardised fleet. Other future developments according to their franchise agreement include a variety of service changes, as well as the installation of new ticket gates at 22 stations, a huge number of car parking and cycle spaces, as well as major refurbishments to 7 stations including Brighton, Haywards Heath, Three Bridges and Worthing. There were also talks of opening up the Uckfield to Lewes line, but I don't think this has made much progress. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for LNER.